Hey y'all, before the episode gets started, I just want to pop in and say that I am aware of the audio difference between Alexis and I. I got it sorted out, so for the next one, I won't be louder than her, alright? One more time. I got it sorted out. I'm aware. I love y'all. Thanks for listening. Let's get into it. What is up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the Girl Gainz podcast. I'm Amber P.
I'm Alexis Adams.
And for today, we're going to talk about a variety of things. But first, we're going to kick it off with our prep updates. Alexis, you go first. What you got going on? Yours is more entertaining than mine.
I mean, it's not even that exciting because nothing's happening yet.
We're prepping for the Olympia. That's exciting.
Yes, we're going to the Olympia. We are 13 and a half weeks out because it's Tuesday. And weight is going up, which is like I literally just got response back from Stefan, and it says, let me read it to you.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Hi ho, good as all should be. I said,
That's it.
oh gosh, okay, with a laughing emoji because I'm 2 pounds up from my last check-in, and I still have tie-ins, so I'm like 159.6 this morning. Still
Yeah.
have tie-ins, still have oblique lines, still have abs.
I'm looking at your video right now. Yeah, I see everything still. It's just, yeah, everything's
We
still
are
there.
13 and a half weeks out. Let me repeat.
Yes. Yeah.
I do like the fast prep. I know that he'll get me ready. He's not going to risk anything.
Right, right.
But like I got like a little like my sign was on Saturday when I took check-ins because I'm every 3 days right now.
Okay.
When I sent check-ins, I let him know that I'm going to do a shoot in Tampa with Gilco after the Tampa Pro for my birthday. So I told him, I was like, I'm going to do a shoot on August 4th for my birthday. And he said, ooh, sounds great. We will not risk anything though. And I'm like, we're going to be 10 weeks out. We better be leaner than we are right now. Like, what is your plan?
He's like, I'm not pulling no triggers for that, ma'am. I like him.
I like a fast prep, so
Mm-hmm.
like the closer we get, I'm like, once we start cranking, it's going to roll.
Yeah.
Um, and I think the thought process is like, so I came to Stefan from Nelson at like 14 weeks out from Toronto. And we did not push anything hard. It was actually very like, the whole time I was like, we gonna start cranking this up or what? And then I was ready. Like he wanted to do a show like 3 weeks sooner.
Yeah.
So we ended up doing Miami, which was a week early just because of like scheduling and stuff. And then Toronto. So I'm assuming he's like keeping that in mind of how I responded last time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because you don't want to be ready too early and then have to just maintain. Because then you run the risk of like running the physique down rather than being able to like, it's hard to maintain into that first show rather than like coming out of a show and coming back down, coming out of a show and coming back down. So you got to time it right for that first show of the season, quote unquote, and that like we're not planning anything before the Olympia. So I think that's what he's taking into consideration.
Yeah, no, totally makes sense. Still scary nonetheless. It's kind of like, what we doing? What we doing?
Yeah, I'm like, two
Yeah,
pounds
and
up. I was like, he's gonna add some cardio, and then he responds, everything is as it should be. I'm like, okay.
yeah, he's
Sounds
got
good.
it. Sounds good. Sounds good. That's awesome. I have been in prep for 8 weeks now, and it has been tough just mentally for me because I told y'all, first of all, I've had an attitude anyway because my plan was to be done competing right now so I can focus on the work. So I've basically have had to like flop my whole schedule, my whole plan. So that was part of my bad attitude. But I was struggling because like nothing was happening. Nothing was happening. So it's just kind of like my weight hasn't changed much, but I think it was last week I showed Alexis like the start of prep versus last week. And I'm like, okay, I can physically see things happening. So it's that cliche thing we all know. Every prep is different. How it was the last time. It won't be. Yes, yes, we know that. But it's just scary when you're 8 weeks in and not much is happening on the scale, because the thing is, the scale is not the end all be all. However, it's a tool, it's an indicator of things are trending down, right? So it's just kind of like I had to take everything that I know and turn it off and just say, okay, we know, throw the scale out the window. When we look at the photos, you're significantly tighter. And then I also know now, this is the second time this happened to me, I tend to go through a recomp first, then drop. So now I feel like we are trending down because my weight is starting to come down now, thank God. But it's just kind of like, okay, so there was a show that I really wanted to do, but I've accepted the fact that I probably won't do the show. So the shows that I'm looking at are at the end of the year. And I'm like, who wants to be in prep at the end of the year? Like, it's the holidays. Like, I don't want to be in prep at the end of the year, but if that's what we got to do, that's what we got to do. Text coach yesterday because I'm just trying to get a gauge on things, because like I said, now I'm running into being in prep and working. So I'm looking at the back half of the show schedule. And so I was just kind of like, listen, I know how my coach is. Like, she never says anything like that's definite, but in the name of me trying to figure out, when do I need to pause travel? When, like, what are we
Yeah.
looking at? You know, because like I have to, like, I have to know.
You need like, where is the
Yeah.
estimation? Like,
Absolutely, for sure. So it's not even a matter of when do you think I'll be ready. That's not it. But like, when do you want me to cut travel? Because we're already halfway through the year. So I have to start, filling in the rest of my schedule. And of course, I got my cliche, well, we don't know yet. We just want things to keep trending down. And I'm like, yes, I know. I'm very much so aware of that. That tells me nothing. And I was annoyed, but I was like, all right, fine, whatever. So we just out here. I literally don't have a target show anymore. At this point, I'm just kind of like, if we even make it on stage this year, it'll be a small miracle. I really want to make it on stage this year, because who wants to go through all this for nothing? You know what? And it wouldn't be for nothing. You know what I mean? But it's just kind of like, something's got to give. Something's got to happen. So that's where I'm at. I did my Yeah, I didn't need to do more posing with you. Posing's been doing good. My suit will be here today.
what?
That's exciting. Yeah, this morning when I was leaving cardio, I checked my email and I saw that I had like a confirmation for shipping, and I was like, I don't have anything coming, and I clicked it and I saw, and I was like, oh no, I'm not going to be here because I leave for Atlanta Pro this weekend tomorrow. And when I clicked on it, it said that it would arrive today between 12:15 and 6:15. So I'm excited. So that's going to give me like a
That
little extra
I want to know why you get yours so much earlier than me. I always get mine like 2 or 3 weeks out. Sorry, guys, I'm making bread.
Alexis is always doing something. Just deal with it. I don't know. So I don't know if it's my actual suit, because Krista said that she's been working on a surprise for me. So I think it might just be like the fabric color, because we're playing with a different color. So I think it might be more so the color for us to confirm before she starts making the suit. I don't know. Either way, I'll tell
Oh,
you.
that makes sense.
Yeah, because she doesn't want to commit to the fabric, and we're not like 100% for sure yet. So it's probably more so that. But either way, it's exciting. I can't wait to see what it is.
Yeah, I've had people ask me, like, does she do um, how she does suits as far as like figuring out what you want.
Mhm.
And I know, sorry, I'm just making sure I set the timer. I know that she doesn't usually send like, some companies will like make the base and
Yeah,
send the base without stoning and make sure that it fits and stuff. Um, she doesn't do that to my knowledge, but she does send like swatches.
hmm,
Um, so that, and like if you're kind of in between two colors or something, she'll send you both the swatches and you can see them in person.
yeah,
Um, and then I have not had anyone get their suit from Krista and have an issue with how it fits.
yeah, yeah. These
Even
things
even
fit
like
immaculate.
after like my third season of getting suits from her, I like ordered my suit. I think it was my purple suit for last year, or magenta, or whatever y'all want to call it. Um, I messaged her and it was like she was getting ready to send it, and I was like, "Do you need recent measurements?" She was like, "No, I know how your physique comes down now." And I was like, and it was perfect. Like it was better fitting than the one before that. I didn't know how that could be possible. And I was
Yeah.
like, but she understands competing. She understands how dieting goes. And I
Mhm.
think that's a benefit with her. She's not like it's more on a scale with her rather than like strict measurements, which
Yeah.
she will ask you for your measurements. But I think that's better because bodybuilding's not black and white. And she kind of has a good gauge for how you look in the photos that you submit when you order your suit and what you say that,
Mhm.
like, your estimation of how much weight you think you're going to lose and then what the measurements should be around that. Um, it's actually very fascinating because I
Yeah.
have not sent Kristen suit measurements in like 2 years.
Yeah, she's just good. It's like when we were going back and forth and I emailed her, I sent her some color options. She's like, "Well, I think maybe that wouldn't look good, but if I do it this way." And I said, "Krista, you do what you think. This is just my idea. Like, I trust you."
Yeah.
It's kind of like it's the same way if like for me, like once I've touched you, what if I've done you once or if I've done you twice after that, it's just kind of like I know your face. You know what I mean? So I get after a while, like she's been looking at your body and studying your body and seeing your stage shows. And I mean, you're an athlete, we're an athlete. So she keeps up with how we look. So she's amazing. She is truly amazing. I still can't get over how well her suits fit. Like out of my entire 5 years of competing, as soon as you put it on, man, it's just like, wow.
Yeah, and it's like it's so if you followed her page for a while, you'll see where a lot of her athletes will leave it completely in her hands and just
Mhm.
like send me what like let me like send me a suit. You could like do what you think is gonna look good, and that is not me. I'm not that person. I like to have control on everything and everything in my life. So that's never been me. Um, but it got taken out of my control a little bit in an exciting way for Toronto, where she called me and
Mhm.
she was like, "Hey, I made your red suit. It's done." It like she sent me a video. It was gorgeous. She was like, "But my thought is, the background of Toronto is red, and I don't like red suits. Usually don't translate well with
Mhm.
because it's like red and
A lot.
yellow, not good." So she was like, "What I'm thinking is, like let me make you a suit. I have some ideas in mind. I just want to run some ideas by you. Um, I'll make it. I'll send it. It's a backup option. If you don't like it, wear the red. You can take
Mhm.
both of them to the show, see what the background looks like, make your decision there. I just want you to have a backup because this is my thought process." And I was like, "Okay." So like my feedback to her was, if you're gonna send me a surprise suit, I want it to be something I've never worn. Like
Yes.
we've done all the
Yeah.
pinks and red hues,
Yeah.
so just make it different. So I like in my brain, I was convinced it was gonna be green. And I was like mentally prepared for green. So then I get the box and it's blue, like blue. And I was like, huh, I don't know about this.
Yeah, you were not feeling it. I was like, I can see
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I sent it to Amber and she was like, "Yeah, I think you need to see it in better lighting." And I was like, "We'll see." So then I like took 2 days and then I finally like take it to the gym in like the posing room lighting and I put it on and I was like, "Okay, I can see it." And then I put it on one more time and I was like, "I think we're gonna do blue." And Amber was like, "And you're gonna curl your hair and you're gonna do a side part." She's
Because
like,
listen,
"Next time, people, we're gonna take it full spin."
yes,
So then I did, and I liked it. I liked the look on show day, right? So
it's
then
awesome.
it's show morning, we roll up to the venue, Martin drops me off at the front door while he parks. So I go in by myself and Ludacris, the wellness coach, I walked right by him and I saw him, so I like smiled, I'm acknowledging him, and he didn't say anything, and I was like, "Well, that was rude." And so then
Oh,
I don't know where I'm going. So I had to turn around and walk back by him. And he was like, "Alexis, I didn't even recognize you." And I was like,
wow.
"Oh, this is a
Oh,
different look today."
uh huh. Uh huh.
Which was exciting, but like doing something that, like, that's a big jump. I curled my hair, I wore a different color suit. I didn't wear. I wore my strapped heels again because I wanted to do some spins.
Yeah.
Um, it just like I'm glad I did it because I really liked it, but it's nerve wracking a little when it's like
Oh, I'm
completely
sure.
different. It's like you guys know I've gone like safe for the most part. Where I'm like I'm not curling my hair because the judges like it straight. Like you don't want to change too many variables, but sometimes switching it up completely is worth it, and I've learned
Yeah.
that this season.
And I think especially for the level that you're at too, it's just kind of like, okay, like let's play around with some different things to see how it looks. But it's definitely nerve wracking. Like I know like if this suit, which I know it's gonna look good, looks good, it's gonna be nerve wracking because it's very different. So I'm gonna be like, ooh, okay. But I can say from an artist standpoint, it is so much easier and the hair and makeup always turns out way better when the girl says, I trust you, do what you do, versus if a girl
Yeah.
comes in with too many terms, too many stipulations. Because the thing is, before y'all have even sat in my seat, I've already assessed you. I've looked at you on Instagram. I've looked at your bone structure. I've already done all the things. So I'll say, tell me what you don't like, because that's always easier, or show me some past looks from your, stage. But where girls are like, well, I like this here and then this, that, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, just let me do what I do, because if you try to navigate it too much, it never turns out good.
Yeah. When I went to Toronto, I wasn't familiar with those makeup artists. Like, I've never been to Canada, so I don't know the Canada makeup artists. And like nobody else did either. Like three people gave me suggestions, and they lived in Canada, and I went with what they said because I didn't know anything else.
Right.
Um, but like in the States, I usually use Amber with LeBeau or Amber with Amber P Beauty. My Amber is my Amber for my makeup, and that's it. Um, and so it was different. So like I go in there and I like Amber had sent me ideas of like what to show the lady because like Miami, I knew Amber, the other Amber was going to do my makeup, and I trusted her because she's
Mm-hmm.
done it a couple times. So I was like, do what you do.
Gotcha.
Um, and she knew I liked pinks, and pinks went with the blue, so it's fine. And then when I get to Toronto, like I had pictures like ready in my phone, and I sat down, and the girl was like, "So what are you thinking for makeup today?" And I was like, "Well, I was thinking." My suit is blue, and before I even could say anything, she's like, "Yeah, and you like pinks, right?" And I was like, "You looked me up."
See? You're supposed to. Yes.
But that's doing your homework. That's like getting prepared so that you don't have to think as critically on the spot and like,
Mm-hmm.
you kind of have a plan going in, and then if the person wants something different, you can tweak it a little bit, but it's easier on the
Absolutely.
brain, I would imagine.
Yeah. And that's what I tell girls too. It's just kind of like understand that every artist has their own vibe, but no one is going to be able to create someone else's look 100% because they have different hands, So it was like, what colors do you like? Show me some looks and go with there. Most of the time, it's not going to go wrong. Trust the person and roll with it. Now, there occasionally, like I said, something might go left, but it's not likely that it will. So, alrighty. Prep updates. That's that. And then there was a really good question that somebody, oh, like scrolling through our conversations. Yeah, we talk a lot. Okay. So this is a question, and it's going to be basically like a bikini versus wellness situation. But a girl said to Alexis, I'm curious if you guys ever feel like you don't relate with one another because you're in different divisions. For one being in wellness and being in bikini, the goals are so different. Do you ever feel like you don't relate with each other, or is prep regardless of division? So this is a good question. I never thought about it. I've
Me neither.
honestly have never thought about it. I have never felt like Alexis can't relate just due to different divisions because we both got to diet, we both got to train, we both got to do cardio. We're both tired. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not.
Like the
I
feels of prep are like the same. And for overall, the stages of prep are the same. Like
Yeah.
you'll hit a wall, you're more tired. You hit a wall, you've got brain fog now. Like you
Mm-hmm.
kind of like the processes are different or the same whether you're eating the same amount of food, extremely different levels of food, how much cardio you're doing. Like as you get lean, you still hit the same stages. I think the only place sometimes where I have felt disconnected in the past is knowing the other pros in the bikini division. Like, I'm
Mm.
familiar with some of them, but like when a list comes out, and now especially like since we turned pro, there's a bajillion pros since then, and it's like
Who's
I'll
that?
send Amber like, "Do you know any of these people?"
Yeah.
And she'll send me, and like some of the names I just don't like. I know their IG name and not their real name, and
Right.
like it kind of can get confusing there. But like for me, that's it. And I think
Mhm.
the same thing for you. I was like, I'll say like so and so is doing this show, and you're like, I don't know who that is. I'm like, yes, you do. And
Yeah. Oh, what color is her hair? What color is her hair? That's how I know people. Yeah, that the prep is prep. It's the same. Um, I think for me, because y'all have to keep in mind, Alexis started off as a bikini athlete. So she's very well aware of like the bikini ins and outs. I think for me, and again, it's not a prep difference, but it's really I've been watching closely the wellness divisions and the criteria and truly understanding it, like understanding what is too conditioned, understanding what's too much muscle. I think that for me has been the thing when it comes to wellness, but that's not a prep situation. That's just me wanting to learn the division because I'm very fascinated in it. But outside of that, I mean, basic bikini versus wellness, Alexis is tearing up her glutes and quads. I am not touching my quads like that. They're secondary. I don't hit my lower body as much as she does. I couldn't tell you how to get into a quarter pose to save my life. Quarter turns. I know what looks right, but me trying to get into it, absolutely not. I mean, that's pretty much it. We should do that one day. We should, when we're together, we'll make a video of you trying to teach me how to do quarter turns.
Yes.
That would be funny. That would be funny.
That would be hilarious.
Yeah, because it would be a mess. Okay, let's get into some of our questions. First question: what are some goals as coaches for you guys? Alexis, you go first.
Um, I mean, I just want like a good rapport with my clients.
Mhm.
I want my clients to be able to like tell me truthfully how things are going, what they don't like, if they fell off plan, without being afraid. Um, and I want my clients to be happy with what goes on stage. Of course, we all want to win, so I want my clients to
Yeah.
win, but you can't control who shows up, and you can only do with what you have. So I want my clients to like feel like go into a show knowing that they're bringing their best. I want to know that I'm helping them bring their best
Mhm.
and being proud of what goes on stage no matter where it places.
Yeah, that's excellent. For me, the majority of my girls are lifestyle right now, which I'm totally fine with. I like that. So for them, it's just more so of that I want them to learn because I personally feel that nutrition should be a life skill. It's unfortunate that it's not, and just the whole food situation here is in America. But I don't want them to feel that they need to diet for the rest of their lives. You know what I mean? But I also need them to understand that when you go out to eat, you need to know, like, especially if you have a specific goal, like, know what foods to choose from. You know what I mean? Don't feel like you have to lean into the peer pressure because it's one thing like if you want to have the margarita, but if you don't want to have it, it's okay. You know what I mean? I feel like a lot of my clients have a hard time with that, like when they go out with people with peer pressure. Because one of them was saying, it's like, it's not that I didn't even want it. I just didn't want to hear the, oh, why aren't you doing it? Which we can all relate, you
Yeah.
know?
I was gonna say, like for me, that was the biggest thing was hearing the mouth, like of your comments regarding it. And like as I work on being a well-rounded adult, I am caring much less about what other people have to say about what I do or think. But not everyone's at that point immediately. So like that was
Yeah.
me back when I first started. It's like especially when you're making a significant change. So you guys know that I am a foodie. I like snacks. I like Doritos. Um, when before bodybuilding, I was pageants, and pageants, the lifestyle was not that. And to be quite honest, it was very much the majority of it was like starve, starve, starve last minute into your pageant. And then after the pageant, you go back to completely normal life. And then you starve for 4 months going into the next one. Like it was like the old school wrestling type mentality,
Yeah.
like as much cardio and least amount of food as possible to get ready fast, and then you can go back to normal. Um, so that's what I did, and it was like a ping pong.
Mm-hmm.
And the girls at work knew, like after a pageant, we would have a feast. If you know how night shift nurses can eat, you know about the feast. We set up a whole friggin' dining room in
Yes.
the nursery when the babies were in the rooms. Um, and have a feast. But when I like switched to bodybuilding, it was like, one cheat meal a week, and that was something to adjust to. And it took some coming down because my cheat meal would turn like if it was a night shift, it was like yeah, kind of you nibble on
Yeah.
it, and slowly you pull back, and that's not how you should do it. But still, like the other 6 days of the week is like, oh, you're eating salad again. Oh, you're eating chicken and vegetables again. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I told you guys I was gonna do this, y'all. It took like 4 years for people to be like, that's how Alexis eats. Like, mind you, but like, and like when new people would come, they'd be like, she's a bodybuilder. But at first, it was like, you're doing that again. You're not gonna eat with us
Yes.
again, and that's obnoxious.
It's
And
so
so, like,
tough.
it's easy to be like, I'm just going to eat these chips so I don't have to hear the mouth.
For sure. Yeah. It's tough to navigate, and regardless if you're competing or you're just switching over to a healthier lifestyle. So that's definitely one of my goals. And then have been getting asked quite a lot from athletes like, "Hey, can you coach me?" And I have to understand the time and where I'm at right now in my life, and it's like I feel for me right now, it's not wise to take on athletes. Would I like to eventually? Absolutely. And I'm flattered by girls that ask me, but I got a lot going on with this Amber P beauty thing right now. I'm realizing, hold on, I'm going to have to get some help and grow this because it's just been a lot, which is good, but definitely just with my lifestyle clients and it's teaching me one thing about lifestyle clients and general population is it will teach you how to explain stuff. Like I thought I was good at explaining things. Oh. It will teach you how to just dumb it down, make it plain and simple.
Yes. I found myself doing that yesterday where I'm like, okay, like if I write in a cheat meal, it's usually like substituting one of your other meals. I still want
Mhm.
you to get the other food in, but I don't care when you eat it, but you have to get all the other food in. But my client was like, you want me to get, like, if I'm eating my cheat meal for lunch, I have to get all 5 of my other meals in before my cheat meal. And I'm like, no, ma'am. Like, that's a lot of food by 2 o'clock, you know? But, like, and then I was like, okay, this was not clear.
Right.
I
Cuz
understood
like
it, but not everybody's going to understand this.
mhm.
So let me, like,
Cuz I
go
understood
back.
it. That's why I started nodding my head, but I knew where you were going. I was like, "Yeah, no. Don't do that."
And that's also why I'm like, there's no dumb question because
No.
some things just aren't clear, or like the way you process things isn't the way that I
Mhm.
process things. So I'd rather you ask me than to be doing it wrong. Like,
Absolutely.
y'all, I've been doing my plan wrong until right before my show because like I knew that like I told you guys the rice was dry weight. I didn't
Ah.
realize the protein was raw. So it said like 150 grams. I was doing 150 grams of cooked protein. Now,
Mhm.
if there's anything that you're going to overeat, it like protein's the
Yeah.
least damaging one. Um, but Martin was like, "Yeah, you can't do that going into your show because the whole point of pulling your protein back is to
Mhm.
make sure that everything else digests quicker." And I was like, "Ah, yeah, that makes sense." But so when I did pull it back, I was like, "Oh, I'm hungry."
Yes. And it's so funny you said that. That's like Murillo and I probably spent 2.5 hours going back and forth on that because he's just like he's working on his meal prep stuff and trying to figure out the logistics. And he's like, okay, well, I need to weigh the protein raw. And I'm like, no, you don't. Just do it dry. When it's already cooked and tell them. He's like, no, Amber, it needs to be done this way. And I'm like, all right, you win. You're right. It's something that I never thought about, but at that, what you're saying right there, yes, that totally makes sense because it will throw things off towards the end.
Right, but it depends because not every person, like not all coaches do it that way. Like
Right.
Nelson's, my 4 ounces of chicken was supposed to be weighed cooked. He did it that way because like he understood that the majority of his clients were cooking their food in bulk, you know?
Mhm.
Whereas
Mhm.
like the majority of Stefan's clients can probably cook each meal independently. And we told him like that's not how we're doing it. So now
Right.
what we've done is we know that this amount of raw chicken cooks down to about this much cooked chicken. So I have a different number in my head that I follow for weighing my cooked
Right.
chicken. Because I still weigh cooked. It's just not 150.
Yes. And let me say this because I know someone's probably freaking out. Basically, what I ended up telling Lo was choose what you want, make it known, and be consistent.
Ooh.
For me, like consistent. Like people are like, "Oh, do you weigh your rice raw or cooked?" It's cooked. You can't go back and forth, especially if you're like a macro counter. It's going to throw things off. So let's say like if one day you're weighing everything raw and then the next day you decide to do it cooked, that's inconsistent. So pick a way on how you want to weigh your food, talk to your coach about what they prefer, and then go with that because consistency at the end of the day is going to be key.
Yes.
Let's see. This is such a good question, and this is probably going to like break some people's brains. What What are both of you guys' why for bodybuilding, for choosing and doing bodybuilding? Okay, here we go. Alexis and I touched on this a little bit last night. Y'all, your why does not have to be deep. We are not curing cancer, okay? I know some people,
No.
they have these deep, beautiful whys, and I think that's fantastic. I got into bodybuilding because I wanted to. I do bodybuilding because it's fun. I think how you utilize your platform is honestly more important than what your ultimate why is, just for the sole fact of you can have this deep why, but then on your platform, and here's the thing, regardless of how big or small, once you've entered the bodybuilding world, understand that there's going to be somebody that's watching you, admiring you, and looking up to you. So what you're putting out there, your personality, the content that the energy that you're giving off, that is going to matter, I feel, much more than your why, because my why for getting into it wasn't deep at all. I wanted something for myself. I'm in the service industry. I'm serving people all the time. I'm doing things for other people. I had nothing for myself. I found bodybuilding. It's the thing for me. And then that spilled over to doing glam and sharing Jesus and just overall being a good person. It don't gotta be deep, y'all.
No. I got into it because I wanted to see if I could do it. I knew it was challenging. You guys have heard me say that before. Um, People around me did it, and I wanted to see if I could do it too. And then the like once I did my first prep, it was way harder than I anticipated, and it sucked. And I dug into that a lot, and I like dwelled on how sucky it was, and was like, why would anyone do this? But then once I got through the show, then I was like, I wanted to see if I could do it, and I freaking did it. So
Mm-hmm.
then it just became like, can I do it again? Can I
Mm-hmm.
be better? And how far can I take this? And that's where it's at now, is like realizing how far like the potential is, and how much into that potential can I take it before I don't want to do it anymore, before life decides something else is going to occur next, so that is mine. It's not like it, like some people say bodybuilding saved them from whatever, like different addictions or other
Yeah.
problems. And I can say that like bodybuilding has become a constant. So like through really hard life changes or losses, it's something that I could focus on, because it's like it's very checklist oriented. It's very, you must get these things done. um I think it gave me something like, I think like back when my grandma passed, that was not something I could comprehend or process in the moment. So bodybuilding gave me something that I could focus on. Because I was like, you have to get through it. You have to keep going. And I think maybe without bodybuilding, I would have spiraled worse than I did. And eventually, after you have to deal with those things, like you can push them off to the side for a while. But like after my shows that season, I was in a better place to like, okay, I can process this and only process this. I don't have to
Mm.
focus on too many things now, you know? So for me, it's helped me get through certain things like that. But overall, it's how far can this go?
Yeah. Yeah. My favorite thing about bodybuilding and how I knew it was going to be something that I did for a little bit was after my first show, I was I was shook. I was like, "Holy crap, I actually did it." And the confidence that it gave me in myself, because I don't care if you step on stage once, if you're amateur, you get your pro card, you don't. If you can step on stage, you can do anything. I believe that 100%. Bodybuilding is hard. It is not for everybody. It's not meant for everybody. And I personally don't want everybody doing it, but the confidence that it gave me, I know I would not be the person that I am today without it. And just knowing that when things do get hard, I have to remind myself, I'm like, I can't do this. I'm like, well, first of all, I can do all things through Christ. But secondly, I've stepped on stage several times now. I've been on stage like 8 times. That's hard. Keep going. You can do this.
Yes.
Oh, this is a good question. What is one thing people would be surprised to know you dislike about bodybuilding? I go through
I
these.
hate. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Um, well, no, actually, surprised to know. Never mind. I gotta think more. Go.
Oh, I go through these moments, and I struggled with it a lot this year. And I guess it's surprising because, I mean, the gym is our practice, where I'm just like, F the gym. I don't want to do it. And I think for me, how I even acquired that mindset was because I had a moment where I was just afraid to lift because I'm thinking about how I looked on stage. And so it just kind of transitioned to, well, I like training. I like how I was training. But understanding that, well, if I can't train like that, then what's the point? F it. I don't want to do it. And so it got to a
Yeah.
point for me where it was just like it wasn't fun. I didn't want to do it at all because I'm like shoulders, glutes, but not too much shoulder, just glute. It got to a point where I was like, heck this, I don't want to do it. And I think I'm finally now to a point where I'm like, okay, I like the gym again, but y'all, I was struggling. It was not fun.
So sometimes for me, and it's not like I like the lifestyle and the routine overall,
Hmm.
but every once in a while, the mandatory things do annoy me. For 4th of July, Martin's dad was in town. We live right next to the beach. So Saturday we had a beach day. And it's like, like we did our morning stuff. Everybody's waking up, drink their coffee and stuff. And I was like, okay, do you want to go to the beach? And we're like, yeah. And then it's like, well, now it's 30 more minutes of getting ready to go to the beach for a couple hours because we need to take our meals. We need to make sure we have enough
Hmm.
water. And it's like, especially now, like, um, working from home, it's like you eat your meals meal by meal. I don't pack my
Hmm.
meals for the entire day very often. And if I do, like if I know I'm traveling tomorrow, I'll do it today. But it was just a beach day. So I didn't think about it until it's like now we're gonna go to the beach for 5 hours. It's like, okay, how many meals do I need? What am I gonna make quick? So then it's like, okay, put the chicken and green beans. I try to do it fast and like rice cakes and stuff. And it was just like it only took 30 minutes, so it's not that
Oh,
big of a
yeah.
deal. But it
Yeah.
was like, we're only going right down the road, but I still have to prep for it. And it's
Yeah.
just like, I don't know. That was a little annoying. And like little things like that, where it's like, it's not a big thing that you're doing, but it still like takes planning. And um, I am not someone who's going to advocate. If you want to reach the highest level, you don't take days off.
No, you can't.
And some of y'all are not going to agree with me. Some of you all are not trying to win an Olympia at some point.
That's
So
okay.
that doesn't need to be what you follow, and you can take days off, but I'm not going to. That's not part of my plan. So um, I'm going to do it, but I might be like, roll my eyes while I'm doing it.
Mhm.
It's like,
No,
here's an extra step that nobody else, 99% of the world, is not doing.
Listen, that was me last weekend at Universe. Like, I haven't traveled, like, flown in prep in over a year. And so I was so annoyed. I was like, this would be so much easier if I was in off season. This would be so much easier if I just quit completely and wasn't trying to be the best athlete that I could be, because I can just eat whatever when I get there. But the act of having to pack all the food, then freezing it, and then the next day I'm sitting there trying to weigh the suitcase and it's still 7 pounds over, and it's not an option to take the food and ice packs out. That's not an option. That's got to stay. So I'm like, okay, what the F can I take out of this bag? Because everything that's on the right hand side, I need. That's annoying. However,
So, like, me right now, I'm looking at like flights to Vegas and planning, and I'm like looking at Southwest because each person gets 2 bags. So with me and Martin, that's really kind of like 2.5 bags for me. And
facts.
I'm like, I need all the things, and I'd rather pay $100 more for a
Same.
plane ticket than to pay $150 to check 2 extra bags.
I'm with you. I'm with it. And like that's just where I'm at with it now. Oh,
My
you're watching
bread.
YouTube. You can see the bread. That looks so good. I can't wait to try
Thank
this
you. It's my
out.
best loaf yet.
It looks
I'm
amazing.
excited. Y'all
Yeah.
tinkered with this for like, this is my 5th loaf before it's coming out how I want it to.
But you know what? Your mindset goes back to what Olivia messaged me yesterday, because I had posted about podcast idea topics, and this is what she said: how your off season should look when you are serious about bodybuilding. Hashtag serious. So I don't want anyone to ever feel like they are less than because maybe they're not as serious as Alexis and I or other athletes. Like Alexis is at a whole nother level than I am when it comes to being a pro. Like, yes, we're still a pro, but understand that once you're at the Olympia level, it's a different level. I'm working my way up. I'm entering, I'm trying to get there. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, if you're taking it serious, you have to understand that there are going to be different ways of life. So she said, how your off season should look when you are serious about bodybuilding. None of this half and half out stuff. Schedule your sleep, schedule your food. When your life is in order, you're actually leaving more time for family. Uh-oh, I got cut off. You're actually leaving more time for family, church, and things. Get up, lift, do your cardio, then be a dang human. And that's it. I think some people feel
Yeah.
that they like the idea of it, they want to be serious, but then when it comes down to it and realize how serious it is when you're standing on a scale with the suitcase and you got all this food in there, you got to take something out. Yeah, that's life.
Right. And it's like, eventually your people get used to it, but at first they're like, what is wrong with you?
Mm-hmm.
And you will lose people in the process. Um, and that's just how it is. But like, we say off season very loosely. There is not an off season. If you take off, you are behind in that time now. Like, you lost time, you are running behind, people are ahead of you, and maybe that, like, people like to say that's a toxic mindset, but that is the truth. And bodybuilding is an extreme sport. I don't know how many times I can tell you that.
Well, the thing is not a toxic mindset for this, just simply because the off season is where the magic happens. Ain't no magic happening in prep. You are trying to get lean. Like, yes, you can still grow into it to an extent, but at the end of the day, if you need more tissue and you don't do what you need to do in your off season and you prep, guess what you're not going to have? No tissue. So it doesn't work that way. Like, your off season is where all the things are going to happen. So if you slacken your off season, you're going to know, oh, look at that bread. That's pretty, girl. Looks like it
I'm
should be in
so
Panera.
proud. Oh.
Panera bread. Oh, this is an excellent question. You'll be able to answer it way better than me because I'm just like, I mean, straight to the point, but you can give all the scientific stuff. How important is timing workouts and foods? You guys, if you
Very.
can't do anything else right, and then I'll let Alexis take it, make sure you get your pre-workout meal and your post-workout meal. Though for me, those are my two most important. I have a weird schedule, but those two things are important. Everything is important, but I don't fool around with those two. Go ahead, Alexis. Give us the science.
Your nutrient partitioning. So with your pre-workout meal, you need that for energy. So if with my clients when they're prepping, and this is how my coaches have run it too, that's the last place you're pulling calories from, especially your pre-workout meal, because that is what you're using for energy. If you go into a training session without eating and you're fasted, or it's been 3 hours since you've eaten, you're mimicking a fasted state. You're pulling into not only fat stores but muscle stores too, because you're breaking down muscle. So it's different than doing fasted cardio. Fasted cardio is not very demanding on muscle storage. You're not pushing weight. You're not forcing the muscle to break down, but you need energy and you need something to pull from as far as energy for training sessions as you're breaking down the muscle, to not then break down the muscle and process it as energy. That's two different things. It's two different physiologies of what your body's doing. And then when you come out of a training session, you also need to restore what you just broke down. So in a perfect world, you have protein and carbs before training and protein and carbs after training. Sometimes in a deep prep, as you get really close to show, you'll lose some of those carbs post training, because if you have to choose somewhere, you want them pre, but you need a meal before and you need a meal after. I've had clients who are like, well, I train in the evening and I don't want to eat too close to bed. Eating too close to bed is not going to turn into fat. Like, your body's not like, it's 10 p.m. This gets stored as fat now. No.
Carbs don't
But
know
your
what
body
time it is,
does
y'all.
know. No, but your body does know stimulus. And if you're coming into a training session fasted and you're demanding energy by training, your body's going to break down whatever it can and process it as energy. It's going to burn it off, essentially. And if you do that enough time, like doing one session training fasted is not going to be detrimental. But if you're doing it over time, your body learns, I have to give out this output and I'm not getting any input. So I'm going to get rid of what's the hardest to store. What's the hardest to store? Muscle.
Muscle.
So you're going to start losing muscle if you're training fasted religiously.
Yeah. And
And
that's
you
only
don't have an
beneficial.
excess. Yeah, like, and that's like, some people will do it and not find too much of a detriment, but those are people who have an excess amount of fat to
Right.
dig into for energy. And we're talking obese. We're not talking someone
Right.
who's in the off season. We're talking like obesity, that amount of body fat. Then sure, you can get away with some fasted training sessions. But like in the sport of bodybuilding, no, you should not be training fasted.
Yeah. Nope, nope, nope. Top necessities for stage makeup product recommendations. Your top necessities are going to be foundation, you need bronzer, you need lashes, you definitely need blush, and you need lipstick. Product recommendations, girl, I got a little bit of I have a little bit of everything. It depends on who I'm working on, what their skin type is, X, Y, and Z. However, you can book a virtual consultation and I can give you some things specifically for your needs. Let's
Do
see.
that. Oh, and side note, if you're having your makeup done, when they ask me what lipstick I want, I always make sure I have that in my bag too. Because a lot of the makeup artists don't give you lipstick for later.
Mhm.
Even if you pay for it, I have had situations where I don't get it. Um, and sometimes it's not easy to put on. So I like to have a clear lip gloss because that will go with anything.
Mhm.
And something that's similar to the color that they're putting on my lips. So I usually have like a nudish or like a purpley nude. I don't know what you call that, but that's what I call it. And then like a reddish pink.
Mhm.
Those are like the two of what they'll usually put on your lips. I don't recommend anyone have brown or hot red lipstick on stage because then it's just looking at your lips. But that's my hack because I don't do my own makeup, but I do like to have that in my kit. And then
Yep.
like Amber gives it to you, but like something to dab the sweat or like sometimes if I get nervous or it's been a long day, you'll get oily. Even if I don't have oily skin, but with makeup on, sometimes it will look a little shiny and oily, and you can just freshen it up that way. And if
Yep.
you take a nap, sleep like this.
Exactly.
Because you're not sleeping
Exactly.
long in between anyway.
No, not at all. And if you book with Amber P Beauty, then you'll have your touch up lipstick. You won't have to worry about it. A lot of girls always ask me, like, what color is it? And I'm not gatekeeping. I mix a lot of different tones because, like, for some girls, I will put a red lip on them, but I'm mixing something that's very vibrant alongside with something to tone it down. So that's why, like, I can't tell y'all sometimes what color it is, but that's a good thing too. Like, a lot of girls always worry about, oh my gosh, my makeup needs to be retouched. If your makeup needs to be retouched, it's probably because you touched it or you did something. All you have to do, and this is why I always put tissue, just take a tissue and you just blot the oil. Oil is inevitable. We're on stage, there's lighting, you have makeup on. It's okay. It's going to make everything fresh. So I am the oiliest human on the face of the earth. I've been this way my whole life. Live in the South. Trust me, you don't need, because what happens is girls will go and start trying to touch it up themselves, then it gets cakey. And here's a hack: if you do want to put more powder on, take the tissue first and blot off all the oil. If you go in with powder first and you didn't remove the oil, guess what's going to happen? It's going to get cakey. It's going to get cakey. It's going to start looking weird. Things are going to shift. So all you need is a piece of tissue, blot that oil off, girl, and you good to go. Let's see. Posing routine for a national show. Is it the same as NP? Wait, I'm not sure what she's asking. Posing routine for a national show. Is it the same as NPC? And then she said for wellness. Sorry.
Yes, I understand what she's saying. I get this question a lot. A lot of people think when they go from regional show to national show, they need a longer routine.
Oh, I see. It's the same.
It's the same. It's the same timing. We might need to like we might see something at your regional show that's like, okay, that doesn't work, or we're not hitting that smoothly, let's change it. But it's the same rules, like 12 to 15 seconds in the box. We're not stopping at the back of the stage. We are not stopping at the back of the stage.
You hear that, Rocket? We're
We're
not
not.
stopping
Bikini
at the
wellness,
back of
not
the
until you're a
stage.
pro. We're not doing that. I don't know how many girls I've had where they're like, I did this, and or we don't practice it, and then you do it on stage and you're wondering why you ran out of time. We don't have time to do that. So very precise bikini, front, back, front, cute transitions, wellness. You can usually get away with two front poses and a back pose, some combination of that. Um, but it should be, if you like your routine at your regional show, you are golden for your national show.
Yep. Yep. Keep it simple. Don't do too much. Let's see how much we've been on through 52. Okay, we can do a few more. This is a good question. I'm not sure what division I'm going to compete in. Where do I start with posing?
Coach, your coach should help guide you there. You can ask someone that you trust that's experienced in the division, but do not ask five people. You don't need too many opinions in the bucket ever, because you're just going to get conflicting opinions and then be more confused afterwards. But your coach should be helping guide you there. But also, it comes down to what do you want to look like.
Yep.
Sometimes what you want and what your body will do does conflict, and then you have some decisions to make of excelling in the sport or looking how you want, which is more important to you. Can you get with, is it just a look you haven't thought about, and so you have to kind of like think about it and decide whether you want to get with it. But if you don't have a coach guiding you, hire a coach, please.
Yeah, absolutely. And consider something else as well, like rocket. your stage lean look is cool on the stage of, but you need to keep in mind, okay, when I'm in my real body, what is this going to look like? Because it might look different than what you are comfortable with. So let's say if you are a figure athlete, right, and you love the way that they look on stage. However, you also have to keep in mind that when you are back into your real body, when you're in off season, you're walking around body, you're going to look a little bit bigger than maybe what you're intended to. And it's just simply because you have more muscle. Like that was a shift for me this off season. It's like I didn't realize how much more muscle I had on me until I got into off season. I was like, whoa, I'm feeling pretty bulky. Now, I definitely went over the edge with body fat. That's just due to life, but it was a different look. And I was kind of like, okay, note it. And that's something that I don't think people take in consideration when they think about what division they want to be in. I think that's important.
Yeah, and that's something that like you guys know when I first started I was bikini and wellness didn't exist. So Nelson was like, you really have the shape and like the genetic ability to do figure.
Yeah.
And I like contemplated it for half a second and then we were at a show and I saw off season figure and was like, no ma'am, I do not want that upper body. And that's just me personally. I didn't want the size in my upper. So then we're like trying to force bikini until wellness came and they were like bikini upper, big blow. And I was like, yes, that worked for me. But for me, that was like, would my body have done it? Sure. But that I was not willing to push that. But then when wellness came, I was like, okay, I do like that shape. I'm willing to do that. So I do think it's important for you to be comfortable with whatever division you do. But if it's more important to you to have a specific look that might not fit the criteria of a division, you just have to be okay with that too.
Yep, absolutely. This is a good question. For beginners, how often should my coach be checking in with me during the off season? That's tricky. Um, every coach is different. I know, I mean, my coach, regardless if you're lifestyle, newbie, pro, off season we're checking it once a week. That's a non-negotiable. And then obviously like the closer I get to show, she'll make me do two. And then when she starts making me do three times a week, I get real irritated, but I understand why. Like I wouldn't be surprised if she starts making me do two sooner than what I'm used to just because nothing is the same. But I don't know. I know some coaches in off season do every 2 weeks, and I could see how that's fine for someone who isn't new or who is a pro. But I feel like if you are someone who is new, you need to be looked at every week.
Yeah, especially like for some people, even just the checking in weekly is more of an accountability thing for them.
Yeah.
Um, but even at the highest level, then you're making even more critical changes. So, like in my opinion, I don't want to be checking in twice a week,
No.
or every two
Every
weeks
two
is what
weeks.
I mean.
Yeah.
Now I don't know how. I think Stefan still looks pretty frequently in like a true off season.
Hmm.
The time between my last show and the Olympia is like an awkward. It's not a true like off. Well, I thought so, and now I'm almost 160 again. But it's still every 3 days since my last show, so he'll bump it up more often, probably here soon. But I would say any further space than every 2 weeks, why are you paying them?
Yeah, yeah. And like I said, I know like some people in off
Or the price
season,
should go down significantly for only
100%,
working every
hundred
3 weeks or
percent.
something crazy.
Yeah, no. I like I said, I know some they do every 2 weeks. Like me personally, I would not like that. I've been checking in once a week for the past 5 years and obviously closer to show, doing more so. But like even especially like some people do that with lifestyle clients. I would never do that with my lifestyle clients. They sometimes just getting them to check in once a week is already a battle within itself. So I can only imagine if it was every other like it's every 2 weeks. And again, like you said, the accountability of it all is crucial.
Let's do one more because I gotta pee.
We can end it.
Okay.
We can be done. All right, y'all. So since Alexis has to pee, we're gonna finish up. You got a nice hour out of us. Hit me up for Stage Glam. I'll be adding more shows. Hit Alexis up for posing. Make sure you're following Girl Gainz on YouTube, listening on Spotify, Apple. Follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and all the things. Thanks for listening.
Bye, guys.